Okay, I'll be looking at you. Can you say your full name?
George Riley, R-I-L-E-Y.
Thanks. And what's your official title?
I'm the managing director of this campaign called Public Water Now.
Okay. So this isn't the first time that you guys had this campaign?
This is the second time. We had one in 2014, which we lost. It was 45% we got of the vote. We were up against a huge political pressure, as well as an enormous amount of money. It was $2.5 million against us, 20 to 1. We raised a little over 100,000. We felt like we won because we had 45% of the vote. Even though we were going against Cal-Am's money, we were going against all the elected officials were against us. The congressman was against us. It was a boatload of opposition, and we still got 45% of the vote. So we just feel so enthused that from there, we're now here trying again, the next cycle of an election, and all sorts of people are kind of joining our campaign. So we're going to be able to get our signatures very quickly, and we're just very excited.
Okay, you seem pretty confident. What's the change this time around?
Well, there are a few people out of office that were in office last time. Dave Potter was very much opposed to us. He's been replaced by Mary Adams. A new member of the Water Management District Board of Directors is on board, who's generally in favor of public water, in various forms. Measure Z passed, which was an anti-corporate control of water, trying to insert some local control over the oil industry and how they extract and how they discharge water. The Community Power Initiative got passed, a little different format, but all over the county and all over this community was supporting another insertion of local control over the energy companies. So now this is our third round saying we want local control of water. We're tired of the monopoly and the corporate control of water. So we just think we're on a roll. The political landscape has changed. The mayors are not organized against us this time. The congressman is not organized against us this time. Cal-Am has gotten high, their rates have just gone sky high. We have all sorts of cost reasons why, and we think they're arrogant and greedy anyway, but it's even more so because their rates have gone sky high lately.
So the rate increase, what else is this campaign about? Like, what's driving this?
Well, it's public ownership of water, so it's local control. We want local elected officials to be in charge. We want the dynamic of dealing with water issues to be in local hands. We don't want to go to San Francisco every time we have an argument. We don't want Cal-Am to have non-transparent, kind of difficult to... Their procedures are... let me just back up. Cal-Am and PUC are not user-friendly. You have to go to San Francisco to get information. You have to join the process to get information. That's just terrible. Water is life. Why should we have a profit? Why should there be profit on water? We just say it's wrong. That's just fundamentally wrong. So we feel like we have the ethics on our side. The values on our side about community control, community growth, community water, community democracy applies here. Access, local control, public information, public budgeting, public setting of rates locally. You know where the people are. You can't get that in Cal-Am. You can't get that with the PUC. You can't get that. We want local control.
So how many signatures are you trying to get?
Well, the threshold is about 6,200, 6,100 and something. We got 8,300 last time. We think we can get 10,000 this time. We just think we can go way over the top. So we have no question that we're going to get the signatures we need. Just none. Everybody in the community says, yeah, they'll qualify for the ballot. We will have a campaign coming up, and we just feel like we're hardened to that too. Cal-Am can't do anything to us. They can give slick campaigns, they can do slick flyers, they can load up the television ads or whatever, newspaper ads or whatever. They can spend all the money they want. We know what they're going to say because they said it last time. And we know they can't be believed on what they say. They do not talk about the substance we want to talk about, the high cost of water. They won't be able to talk about that. because they're guilty. They are fundamentally guilty of very, very high cost water. So what are they going to say?
And would community control of water lower rates? What are you guys thinking?
Well, we think ultimately there'll be substantially lower rates in the beginning, maybe just marginally lower rates, because we have to pay for the company. It's a little bit like, it's a big cost. It will be. It'll be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. $200, $300 million, maybe in that ballpark somewhere. Maybe less. We don't know. But it's a big chunk of money. But it's like like we're renting our water from Cal-Am, we want to own it. So when you're going to pay rent and you're going to buy a house, you don't pay both at the same time. You stop paying one and you start paying the other. So that's the deal we're gonna have. Instead of paying Cal-Am, because we rent water from them, we're going to stop paying their profit, stop paying their extra overhead, and we'll pay the bond issue we need to afford the purchase. The only way it can be purchased is through a bond, and that'll be amortized just like a house mortgage over 20 years or so. And so you pay that down, and at the end of 20 years you own it. The big benefit is like a tree. Like you plant a tree today, you don't gain from it. You start in the right place, but you don't gain anything. 20 years or 15 years later, you got a shade tree. So we're in the mode of planting the tree, and then we'll reap the major benefits later, but we'll reap immediate benefits right away because of democracy, local access, local control.
So in layman's terms, can you spell out immediate benefits and long-term benefits for me? So immediately.
Well, my kind of quick summary is the ratepayers are being hammered by Cal-Am. The corporate ownership of water, making profit out of water, is just definitely wrong. And local local democracy can play out in how our water rates are set, who's on the board of directors, where's the information. So I say we're hammered by Cal-Am, corporate water is wrong, public water is right.
And so I talked to Cal-Am earlier, and they say they aren't for sale.
Exactly. Fine. There's a process for that. It's called eminent domain. We're prepared for that. Our campaign is to get the Water Management District to act because they have the authority to act. They were formed in order to do this. They haven't done it. We're saying, live up to your charge. You're our public agency. We want you to do this. So we're going to force the issue on them. They need to then do the evaluation and move forward on it. So we can't. I mean, as a citizen group, we can't do eminent domain. Only a public agency can do eminent domain. But just because it's not an argument to say we're not for sale. Let's just say we're not going to argue with you. What's the argument? What is their argument why they do not want to sell, or why do they not, want to transfer control? We know why. We're a cash cow to Cal-Am. We are absolutely a cash cow. They make buku bucks off of us, and they take their money out of a community. I mean, we would love to see the money stay here, and local control would allow that too.
So, how long have you lived here? Where do you live?
20 years.
Okay, so in 20 years, can you talk about how your water has increased those rates?
Well, it's not really the water increase to me. When I moved here, everywhere I lived before, East Coast, up and down the East Coast, in California, I've lived where there's public water. It was never an issue. I knew where to go, what it was. I wasn't particularly interested in public water or water. It just, I started reading the paper when I moved here 20 years ago, and I started reading about water wars, water fights, and all this stuff. So I just got interested. I started learning more about it, and reading about it, and getting active, and learning more about PUC. I've been active with the PUC now for almost 10 years, and I just know that process is not user-friendly. I know that from personal experience, and there's a better way.
What does that mean? So it's not user-friendly as in if you have a problem, or where you
If you have a problem locally, you call Illinois or Florida. And that's your local contact number. And they don't know. They don't know their streets. They don't know the city names and so on. I mean, you can talk to them and they can say, yeah, well, I know Seaside is next to Monterey. And they say, well, it's right between. Well, but how is it between? I mean, if it were local, you could name streets and they know what you're talking about. But you can't. And we pay somebody in Illinois to take care of that. And we pay Illinois or Florida for the building services. Well, that could be here. Those could be jobs here. So that's what we're looking for. It's just an opportunity that we have local control, but making profit from water is wrong. Just fundamentally, value system is totally screwed up. You got a captured audience. You got to have it. They just kind of charge whatever they can get away with. And the PUC is their best friend because the PUC agrees with them. We're against CalAm and the PUC because they both kind of work against our interests, ratepayer interests.
Do you have anything else? That's all I have for you.
I just think that democracy works and we're for it. It works with water too.
When is your campaign starting?
Well, it's starting today. Actually, we're signing up. This is the first day we can take signatures on our because we have to sign. We have to collect like the 6,200 signatures. We have to collect all those signatures and then turn them in.
Okay.
And so we're close. But today's the first day. Cool.
Let's go now. Let's go.
What do you think of your water bills?
Well, I had something to say about CalAm in general.
Okay, then go for it.
Well, doubling and tripling the water bill is, of course, ridiculous, but my beef with CalAm goes deeper than that. But first of all, my name is Bill Leone. I work as a psychotherapist here in Monterey. I have my own practice, and I work at MPC with veterans and students at large. And my big beef with CalAm is that CalAm belongs to the National Association of Water Companies, NAWC, and the National Association, and it is the prime member of the NAWC, National Association of Water Companies, which is comprised of all private water companies, the major ones that are large corporations in the United States, and they, the National Association of Water Companies, belong to an organization called ALEC. I think it's the ALEC, Association of Legislative Executive Council, I think, but I have to check my references on that. And ALEC is involved in a whole bunch of really terrible things, including voter registration laws, voter restriction, voter ID laws, gun control or lack of gun control laws, or working against gun control laws, and other dubious activities. They actually are responsible for much of the lobbying in the Senate and the House, and pressuring our elected officials to do things that are not in keeping with popular sentiments, like gun control laws and voting registration and all that other stuff. So that's my main beef with ALEC, CalAm, which is pretty significant in terms of what is wrong with undermining our democracy in the United States.
Okay. Nice.
You're welcome.
So what do you think about CalAm, and why are you supporting Public Water Now?
Well, my water bill has tripled since last year, and I use very little water. I live alone, I don't have a dishwasher, and I don't water the grounds. So I use very little water, but it's 3 times as much. I've called CalAm 3 times to discuss it with them, and I've written in the bill too, and they don't answer me. What I finally did was I paid them less than they asked for this last time. I have to see what happens. I'm sure they're gonna get me for it.
So that's how you feel about CalAm, and what do you think about Public Water Now?
Well, I think that public water, from what I've read about the system in other places, it comes out to be much less, in the end, cheaper for the residents, and I think that water should be a public utility anyway.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so what do you think about CalAm and Public Water Now?
Well, CalAm is a private company, and I realize they need to make profit and satisfy their shareholders, which is actually not my concern. I have a large water bill that keeps going up and up, and I want to make this area more affordable for our children and grandchildren. It's a very expensive place to live, and I really believe that one of the things that will help it make it more affordable is if we have public ownership of our water.
My name is Dennis Knepp. I'm an engineer in Monterey. I work in the downtown district. I recognize that in in the United States, the things that are really important to us, we let the public handle. The police department, the fire department, our basic government is all run by the government, by the people. For having a private company own our water, which is just as important as the police department because it's important to our lives, having a private company own that and take a huge profit out of our community every year is just beyond the imagination. I just wonder how we ever got that way. I think that Public Water Now is doing a great service, allowing us to have a chance to buy back the water company, to take it over again, to reduce the profits that leave our community, and to just have a better community overall.
And what do you think about Public Water Now?
Well, actually, I was really heartened to see that there was an organization called Public Water Now that was interested in doing something about our ridiculous water bills. I've been a resident of Monterey County for over 20 years. I've been a homeowner here in Seaside for 7 years. And for a while, with two of us, my water bill was about $20 to $25 a month. And in the last 3 or 4 months, it's gone up to $70 a month, and we're not doing anything differently. We're actually conserving water. We have drought-friendly landscaping. We reuse our dishwater and our washing machine water to water plants outside. So I feel that we've invested all of this in the planning and structure of our homes and our habits to save water and to be economical for global reasons, and yet locally our fees keep going up and up. And at the same time, on my street, I think the water pipes have broken at least every year, if not every other year, which floods the street. And I live on a hill, so it floods everything that's downhill from us. So things haven't been maintained, even though we've been paying in good faith. And I saw the same thing happen in my lifetime with healthcare. When I was a child, almost all healthcare and hospitals were community hospitals. They were not for profit. They were run by churches or community organizations, and we had a certain level of care, and the cost was reasonable. And slowly but surely, for-profit companies have taken over our healthcare system to the point where we're practically slaves to them and what they will and will not do for us for the ridiculous prices that they charge. So I see that happening now with my local water, and I would really like to do something about it. And the fact that our community is coming together to put some effort into this is really heartening, and I'm happy to be a part of it, and I hope you will too.
Okay, so what do you think about Cal-Am Water and Public Water Now?
Well, when I moved here from Seattle a number of years ago, I was frankly shocked that when I discovered that our water system here was owned by a for-profit corporation and actually had shareholders. And at that time, what I had heard was that it was a German company. Now my understanding is the corporation is based in New Jersey, I believe. But our water is as essential to our lives as the air we breathe. And to think that somebody has control and rights over our drinking water and makes an astronomical profit off that, to me is unethical, immoral. It's unchecked greed, and it's time for us to take our water system back, as most of the rest of the country has, which is public water, and which we had in Seattle. And we would have lower costs. We could take any profits out of the charges for the water system to improve the water system, to lower rates, whatever, to take the profit motive out of it. Similar to our healthcare system, which is also driven by that profit motive. And of course we've all seen this, that we're all supposed to conserve, and then of course we conserved, yet Cal-Am still doubled our bills. So that's the things we get for conserving. They still get their greedy profits. And also, as we've seen us regular residents cannot get water credits to add a bathroom or anything onto our existing homes. Yet it seems that whenever a new development, other corporations want to build in the area, there's plenty of water for new developments and corporations. But once again, the residents, the public, the 99%, we are on the losing stick of all of this. Thanks for listening. Public Water Now.
Nice. What do you think about Cal-Am Water and Public Water Now?
Well, I moved here from Atascadero, and that system there is owned by the ratepayers. So I was very surprised to find out that the program here, the water, is managed by Cal-Am, which is a for-profit company. And I think it's unconscionable that any company should make a profit on something that we all need to live, which is water. I pay not a lot more than I did in Atascadero, but it's because I don't take showers every day. I don't, I wait to wash clothes. I don't water my plants outside, which look like they're in terrible shape. It's because I'm trying to save water any way that I can, and it's because the rates are so high. My neighbor says that she pays $140 a month for water, and she only uses $3 worth of water, but it's because she has a possibility of water if she has a fire in her house, and so I guess there's some kind of a system that's a little bit larger, and so she gets charged more. But I think it's ridiculous. The amount of water that you actually use is quite low, but they have all these add-on things, and they're going to build that desalination plant, which has a very bad reputation as it is, but they will own it, yet the ratepayers are supposed to pay for it. I think it's just an unfair system.
Okay, so go ahead, tell us your name and what you think about Cal-Am Water and Public Water Now.
Hi, Wes. My name is Doug Deach. I'm Executive Director of the Monterey Bay Conservancy from Santa Cruz, which is a public water policy think tank for around 25 years. That's spelled D-E-I-T-C-H. I'd like to get rid of an itch, as I was telling the State Water Resources Conservation Board a little over a year ago. Well, I was actually supportive of the last Measure O effort a few years ago, and that's why I'm here today, actually. Is although I'm what you call an outside agitator, what I have here is a check that I'm going to be, let's say, the Santa Cruz representative at this point who wants to be supportive, but for this effort, but also for a regional effort to basically what we need here is we need one regional water agency. I call it the Monterey Bay Water Authority. If you look on Deepwater Desal, the kind of model that they have, this is what we need. So we have too many different water agencies here, and we have too many different water basins that have fractional management. Anyway, so I'd like to come sometime to public water, and once you acquire this, as they've done up at Felton, of course, before you, then I'd like us all to, let's have a meeting and see how we're going to have regional water issues and regional water resources like the desal plant. And I actually have a 9,000-acre, but I call the Monterey Bay Estuary and National Monument. That is a conservation, a groundwater recharge project. If you go to www.thebestthatmoneycan'tbuy, it's a 25-year-old proposal, you'll see it all explained there. And it's also paid by what we call OPM, which is other people's money, bond money that's going to be available around 12 to $15 billion. Anyway, that's what I think, Wes. And I'll be making out my check here. I can't sign your petition, but Monterey Bay Conservancy and a lot of other people regionally are very supportive of your efforts.
Wonderful. Thank you much. Appreciate it.
You can hear him? Yeah. And I have a question for you. I would like to know, like a show of hands, did you hear about this today from an email from Public Water Now? Raise your hands. Did you hear about it from an ad in Monterey County Weekly? Yay! Did you hear about it from next door? Did you hear about it from Facebook?
Really?
Nobody. Wow. Okay. One person. Thank you. Okay, so I think all of you realize what we're up against here, and I would say that this is going to take, we want community water, it's going to take a community effort, a community-sized effort. We can't just hope someone else next door is going to do it. So I encourage you all to attend the signature trainings that are going to be starting Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And you can volunteer right at this table in front of me and get more information on where and when those are going to be. It's not like signing a petition on the internet. You actually have to do it physically. You have to face-to-face. People have to sign legal petitions for ballot initiatives that way. So, George, where are you?
Right over there.
George, Director George Riley.
Hey, George! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of familiar faces out here, some new ones. I'm glad to see new faces.
Closer, maybe?
Let me start by you know what this is all about. So I don't need to explain what Cal-Am has been doing, nor what we have been doing. But it is important that you know why it's so valuable that what we're doing, about what we're doing, and what you can be doing. But I want to give just a little bit of perspective on where we are. I'm calling this the championship round. You got division playoffs, you got the league play, or whatever it is. But this is the championship round because this is not the first time we've tried this, or that this community has tried this. This community tried this in the 1930s and failed. This community tried it right before Cal-Am bought the system in the mid-40s and failed. The community tried it again in the 70s and failed. So we got a history of failure behind us. But more recently, we have more failures. But more recently, the issue has become more dominant in the community. The reasons are more paramount than they ever have been. The cost of Cal-Am is more obvious than it ever has been. And I just want to remind you that there was an effort tried in 2005, more recently, which also failed, and then we failed in 2014. But what has happened since 2014 is the entire political landscape has changed. It's changed everywhere you look. And that's why I'm optimistic, and you ought to be optimistic, and you ought to be. What happened here?
Where's our sound guy?
George, shout. What happened is
He's beeping.
battery beeping. There's an answer for this. Everybody get closer.
There you go, yeah.
Hello.
Lost power. It's over.
Let's move up.
All right. Well, here's why the political landscape has changed as much as it has. Right after 2014 and we lost, some of us stayed very politically active on campaigns for candidates, unrelated to water, but not exactly unrelated to water. So the first big change was that we got Molly Evans elected to the Water Board. She is a public water proponent, and now that voice is on the board. Right after that, the supervisor's race for the fifth district. David Potter is gone. Yay! And I got to tell you, those campaigns depended on the ground game. It didn't depend on money. If you looked at the financial contributions that Molly Evans had in her small campaign for the water district, or Mary Adams' campaign for a much larger, more expensive campaign for the supervisor of the 5th district, you look at the money spent in those two campaigns, the one with the least money won. But the one with the biggest ground game won. That's the critical difference. And I want to tell you, that's critical to where we're going forward, because some key people who are sympathetic to this issue are in key positions. In 2014, all the mayors were opposed to us. All of the mayors, then in office, were opposed to us. It looks like that is not going to happen this time. It's not going to happen. Our congressman was against us last time. I mean, this is the formidable power structure that we were up against. All the mayors, including the congressman, including the 5th District Supervisor, and including Cal-Am's money. We know we're going to face Cal-Am's money, but we're not going to face the same political opposition we had before. And when I say the political landscape has changed, let me just finish that little picture. Not only did we change some individuals, the majority on the Seaside City Council flipped to a more progressive view, including key people who are here today, who were Monterey Downs died because the majority flipped. Monterey Downs never came to a vote after the election because the majority flipped. All I'm saying is people in certain positions are important. So just to say, Dave Pacheco is back here. Seaside City Council. See Kayla Jones. Congratulations, Kayla. Dave for getting reelected. Jason is here somewhere. Jason Campbell, here you are. Seaside City Council. The mayor of Monterey, I saw that tall guy. There you are, behind the balloon. And I saw Tim Barrett, I think. There you are. Have I missed? Elected?
I know.
Okay. Well, that's not even the landscape I'm talking about. It's changed. Okay. These are just good people in office. They listen, they hear, but they hear what we're talking about too. But let me just finish the landscape change. Measure Z passed. Measure Z was an attempt to insert local control, some version of local control over big oil. It won. It won handily. So there's a local control compared to big oil. Next subject, the Community Power Initiative, a different format. Most of the cities, most of the population supported that. Our county overwhelmingly supported it. Again, some version of local control over big energy. Maybe big oil too, but yes. So now we're the third spoke of that kind of, or third part of that wheel perhaps, is that we want local control over big water.
Yes.
Or Cal-Am, or don't forget Cal-Am is its holding company is the largest water company in the United States. So we're going up against a big power. But if big oil could lose in one sense, if big energy could lose in another sense, then I think big water can lose in this sense. It's a much smaller population group we're working on, but it's enormously big to them. It's big to Cal-Am, it's big to American Water Works. It will be big to us if we can win. So what I want to make sure that you do is we're in the championship round. We don't know if there's going to be another group behind us to kind of pick up the banner. That's why we say now or never. Now's our chance. But Cal-Am has made it so much easier. First of all, we're in the right momentum, and we're in the right kind of orientation to make change. But Cal-Am is helping us because look what they're doing with their rates. Look at the stupid logic they're using. Save water, save water, save water, please save water. Oh, you're so good at save water, thank you. Now we're going to charge you for that water because we have a right to the money. We're a cash cow to Cal-Am. Look at our numbers. Every document we put together, we can certify, we can verify where we got the information. And it's all from Cal-Am's numbers. We don't make up a single thing. What we're trying to do is put the picture together so it communicates what's going on. Cal-Am takes about 40 cents, 45 cents of every dollar. They ship it out of our community. If we had local control or local ownership, that money would be churned in our local community. So that money is our money, and we ship it out. And we're aiming for not only getting the signatures we need, let me just back up a little bit on that. We're aiming at the signature we need. We're aiming to win the ballot argument next time. And the ballot, the schedule is to be on the November ballot next year, November of 2018. That's the same ballot that every mayor will be running for. Carmel's a little different. There will be in April, but still next year. Mike, thank you. The election in November will coincide with all the mayor's races and half the city council races. So we think that once we get that far along, we expect to only ask one question to any candidate. We only need to ask one question. It's not the whole, do you understand and where we've been and why we want it. One question. One question. Do you like sending your money to New Jersey, or would you rather have your money stay home? That's kind of the only argument we think we need to make. The elevator speech we're saying is we're being hammered by Cal-Am. Corporate water is wrong. Making profit off of water is wrong. Public ownership is right. It's affordable and it's right. So I don't want to take any more time unless there's one thing, a note here that I've got to say. I've got to thank a lot of the people here who are already made this happen today. But I won't go through all those names. But I want to leave you one thing. There are two angles to this that's a little bit hard to explain and sometimes won't make the best argument. But will we see a benefit right away? And usually the question is, will we see a reduction in rates? We cannot promise that. All we can say is that it looks like Cal-Am's numbers are bloated, and they also take profit, and they also pay taxes, corporate taxes. Public agencies do not have that. A lot of the argument is also that it's too expensive, they're not for sale. That's not an argument. We can go to eminent domain and deal with that part, but that's not an argument. But what we need to do is try to show people that it's not impossible to do. And this is my analogy. If you're renting, like you're renting water from Cal-Am, but you'd rather own the system, it's like renting your room where you live. You rent or you buy. You rent and somebody else takes the money or sends it to New Jersey in our case, or you own it and the stuff stays home or stays where you are. The argument is, can we afford it because it's going to cost so much? I'm saying when you move from a rental unit to an owned unit, you stop one, you start the other. You don't pay both. You don't. You may for a month or something, but you don't. That's not the whole long-term plan. So with ownership comes a loan, or when you buy a house, you buy a loan, and so the issue is we're going to pay the mortgage. So you don't pay rent, you do pay your mortgage. It's a swap, but it's not on top of each other. So keep that in mind when people say, how can we afford it? We can't afford it. We can't afford it.
Own it in 30 years!
What's the instant benefit we'll get is public ownership, which means all the stuff related to democracy. You get transparency, you get access to information, you get elected officials, you know who they are. If you don't like them, you can vote them out. You know where their offices are. Their office is not locked with screen access and all that stuff. If you have a problem, you call local. Right now with Cal-Am, you call it for one thing. You go to San Francisco for everything else around the rate structure. Nothing's local. Very, very little is local. You get that instantly. You get that right away. You get access. You get information. You feel good about what you got. The cost side of it will be later. When you own your home, you have to burn up your mortgage. When we own the Cal-Am system, we'll burn up the mortgage. But in the meantime, we were likely to get some rate reduction. So there are advantages right away, but the marginal cost issue is one that's going to have to be sorted out later. That's all I need to say. Start now. We got signatures, we got shirts, we got lots going on. We need you. The last pitch I need. I want to remind you about the ground game. The ground game only works when the ground game is full of groundskeepers, or whatever you're going to call yourselves. It's only going to work if we do the work. We've got to do the work. But we've done it before. We did it the last time. We collected way more signatures than we needed last time. I want even way more than the last time. We can do this, guys. We can do it with your help. We can do it with your commitment to kind of just get out there and get those signatures. All of us that are wearing shirts and so on, we're going to be collecting signatures too. All of us. It's the ground game means we all have to play. We all have to be part of that team. I hope you will be. I'm done. Back to music. Sign up. Hari,
my name is Rick Fedek, and I'm going to talk about economic justice and the economic control. A community needs to control its water resource so it can control, as a community, its economic growth. If you don't control your water, you don't control your growth. It's very simple. You've got to have economic growth or there won't be jobs and housing for the next generation. We need to protect our children. Thanks.
Tell us your name if you like, and how you feel about Cal-Am Water and Public Water Now.
I'm Dan Turner. I've lived in Monterey since the early 70s. I've owned a house
since 1978. Over the last few years, the cost of our water has increased so much so that I hardly ever take a shower at home. When I do take a shower, it's a Navy shower. Used to have a beautiful lawn, 20 feet by 50 feet. My kids played on it. Now it's a desert. I feel embarrassed when my granddaughter comes over. This wouldn't have happened if we'd had a public water system. In Salinas, they have a private water company, but they're not as avaricious as Cal-Am. Nobody has any complaints about it. Cal-Am is gaming this Public Utility Commission cost-plus system by raising its costs for things as much as possible. And the PUC lets it get away with all these things, just continues letting it raise its rates. If we had a public system, it would be more accountable to us. We'd have publicly, democratically elected directors of a water district that we could get rid of if we didn't feel they were doing their job properly. We have no control over Cal-Am, and they're just going to raise our rates through the roof because the only thing they're concerned about is corporate profits, their shareholders, dividends, and the bonuses that their chief executives get, which are tied to the stock price. Profits go up, stock price goes up. The big executives earn $1 million bonuses. If we had a public water system, we wouldn't have to be paying for any of that, and our water rates would be much lower.
So tell us your name if you like, and what you think about Cal-Am Water and Public Water Now.
My name is Kayla Jones, and I am the City Council member for the City of Seaside. I was recently elected in November 2016. I think it is completely ridiculous and outrageous that Cal-Am is giving us the most expensive water in the country, and so I fully, enthusiastically, wholeheartedly support Public Water Now.
Awesome, thank you.
Can I just say I'm a ratepayer?
Sure.
I'm a ratepayer that lives in Seaside, and I'm tired of paying Cal-Am's rates. I'd like to own our water instead of renting it. I'm tired of our money going to big corporations and back east. It should stay here on the peninsula. It's our resources, and they should stay here.
Tell us your name if you like, and what you think about Cal-Am Water and Public Water Now.
My name is Jerry Orton. What do I think about Cal-Am and what do I think about Water Now? I don't think much about Cal-Am because other than it's such a ripoff. And water is not something that should be out there to make profit from. There are just some things that do not lend themselves to profit making from a philosophical standpoint, and mine is water is one of them, along with a few other things. And I think the choice is pretty simple because George Riley just said, you know, the money that we pay Cal-Am, 35 to 40 cents of it, 35 to 40% of it then out of every dollar is going to New Jersey. When as a private nonprofit, public ownership, that money stays here. We can take out a loan just like you get a mortgage when you buy a house and cover the expenses we need to and give up renting water and start owning it for ourselves, and the money stays here. We do it. It's our choice. You want to send 35-40% to New Jersey? Hey, what do you know? They love it there. You know what I'm talking? Hey, Vinny is very happy to get that money. Let's leave it here. Let's do something with it. Let's do Water Now.
I'm Jennifer. I live in Pacific Grove, and I've seen my water bill go from about $30 a month to $100 and something. I've got a home on a quiet street. I love gardening, but I think gardening is important to our aesthetic appeal in the town. And otherwise I put all my shower water in buckets, and I save all my dishwater in buckets, and I'm out there hauling buckets like a little milkmaid. But beyond the cost, because I'm lucky, I can afford it, but I hate the idea of some private organization owning something as basic as our water. We just can't afford to take a chance. We don't know where they're going to go in the future with cost, with policies. We can't afford to take the chance. We all need water to live, period. I hope you'll vote for Measure O and that you'll support our cause. Thanks.
Very well. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you did well.